Everybody has a story. Our story is what makes us who we are. Stories help us connect with other people.
And our stories are what make us special, unique, and necessary. You know, for me personally, my story is I was actually born of Jamaican parents. That's where I got this great tan from. But I was actually personally born in Brisbane, Australia. We lived there until I was 3 months old, and then we moved to Jamaica, where we lived for 6 years, and then we actually moved right here to sunny South Florida. And that was a story in itself. I mean, we got robbed, we came here looking for the better life and heaven on earth, experienced the opposite, which was hell on earth, so we actually ended up moving back to Australia. But that's where I met my beautiful, stunning wife, Emma Louise Mullings, and we actually met working at a radio station. And so we met working in TV and radio. And it was fun because we did so many things, TV shows, TV commercials. But there came a point where I was looking over the body of the work that we were doing, and I felt something in my spirit say, you know what? You've been telling so many stories. It's now time to tell his story.
There is such beauty and significance in a story. Be it the overwhelming imagery depicted by each phrase, or the heartfelt feeling that overcomes you from a memory, or maybe it's just that no two stories are ever the same. You know, my personal story, although being a pastor's kid myself, I actually left church at 14 years old, vowing never to have anything to do with church or God again. Overcoming trauma and abuse to encountering Jesus and walking through a radical transformation at 23 years old. My mum, my sister are both waiting for me in heaven, and my youngest sister is severely brain damaged. There's so much in my story that if I was going to tell you the whole thing, you'd need to pour yourself a stiff drink to get through it. Needless to say, here at History Makers, this is a place for all people. Whatever your past, we want to be part of your future.
You know, so you might be asking yourself, why Miami? Well, as I mentioned, I used to live here, so I always had a heart for the people. But the short answer is God called and we said yes. It was actually October, November 2014, and we were going on a 40-day fast to really seek God about a couple things that He was speaking to us about. And during that 40-day fast, God made it really clear that South Florida was the place that He was calling us to be.
The story of South Florida on its surface is one of beauty and diversity. But underneath its layers, it's also a story of much adversity. But we here at History Makers Church, we imagine a different story. A story of love and life.
We imagine a better story for all people, regardless of your gender, your race, your age, your culture, your ethnicity, or your socioeconomics. This is a place where you can discover Jesus, who is the author of the best story of our lives. So how can you partner with God to co-write this story to see a better story for the people right here in South Florida? Well, 4 ways. Pray, provide, participate, and publicize. You know, prayer is so essential because this is not just an earthly endeavor, this is a spiritual endeavor. And your prayers are truly like the water that waters the seed that God has placed in people's heart, and He wants to see that grow so they come in relationship with Him.
The second thing you can do is provide. Would you ask God about giving financially to plant History Makers Church right here in South Florida? Partnering with us financially, there is a pen that God uses to write His story, His church, and your giving places the ink in that pen to see the story of heaven written on the canvas of this city.
And the third way is to publicize. You see, you know people that we don't know. So we encourage you to share the Instagram, the YouTube, share the stories with people you know. And here's our promise, we'll love on them and we'll look after them.
And the fourth thing you can do if you live in the South Florida area is participate. Come and join the History Makers Dream Team. A story is what makes each of us who we are. Take us, for example. Why would 2 Aussies, both, doing well in Australia, give it all up and move all the way to another country with 4 young kids, including a newborn? It is as crazy as it sounds. But we felt God speak to us and tell us there was a people on the other side of the world living a story they didn't write and they didn't like, and that God had a better story for them.
And you know, God has written you into His story. That means you have a part to play. But it's only when your story and our story connects with His story that we can actually change the course of history. So thanks so much for partnering with us to launch History Makers Church.